Ya, jadi trauma itu bukan hanya apa yang terjadi pada diri kamu, tapi sebenarnya apa yang terjadi pada dalam diri kamu karena kejadian itu. When we get triggered, even though we don't have a working memory of what happened, our body will still react to that trauma. We need to think of this seriously. Hai, nama saya Mala Holland dan saya sekarang ini tinggal di UK, specifically di daerah Nottingham. Saya retrain sebagai psychotherapy, specifically in play and creative arts therapy. I'm interested in, and I work in a lot, is in sexual abuse trauma, domestic abuse trauma, and attachment or developmental trauma as well. My client base itu mulai dari anak sampai ke orang dewasa. And for some children, very young ones, they don't have the language to talk about their trauma like we would do as an adult. Kebanyakan orang dewasa, they have they often wants to talk about what happened, or even if misalnya mereka belum siap untuk menceritakan apa yang terjadi, but they can talk a lot about their feeling. I feel anxious, I feel depressed, I feel stressed. I find it very difficult to have healthy relationship, blah blah, all that kind of thing. Tapi anak-anak itu they don't have the language, the vocabulary, kosakata. Klien bisa menggunakan permainan atau peralatan arts and crafts, termasuk boneka, termasuk sand tray, termasuk cat atau krayon atau play-doh atau tanah liat even, untuk mengekspresikan apa yang mereka rasakan dan apa yang mereka alami. Ya, jadi trauma itu bukan hanya apa yang terjadi pada diri kamu, tapi sebenarnya apa yang terjadi pada dalam diri kamu karena kejadian itu. And of course, then ada sebuah study juga yang called the adverse childhood experiences, di mana mereka menemukan korelasi positif atau korelasi yang sangat kuat antara pengalaman trauma masa kecil dengan banyak behavior dan dengan banyak perilaku dan outcome, kemungkinan orang tersebut will enter into abusive relationship. How much what's the probability of that person becoming addicted to drugs, ke obat-obatan, atau alcohol, become alcoholic, atau smoke cigarette, or even develop heart problems, depression, stress, etc. Because when we experience trauma, and then tidak ada intervensi, what happens is that there's a wound in our psyche and in our brain, in our body, in our psyche, yang membatasi atau impair our ability to grow and to develop. Kita mau menghindari perasaan sakit itu, so we will do things to avoid feeling like that. So we might avoid people, we might avoid places, or we might avoid certain objects or smells or stuff. But also some of the coping mechanisms that will take us away from that are things like alcohol, obat-obatan, sex, shopping, overworking. So check what your coping mechanism is. Karena kalau your coping mechanism, and you can tell if it's not healthy, trauma yang tidak diintervensi atau tidak di-resolve can affect physical, emotional health kita later on in life. So Traumaversary, and it's quite an interesting name, and I guess it's it relates to tanggal atau waktu tertentu di mana seseorang mengalami trauma. So biasanya itu mungkin tanggal yang penting, atau jam, atau hari, atau bulan atau tertrigger easily, it will impact your day-to-day function. When we get triggered, even though we don't have a working memory of what happened, our body will still react to that trauma. So that's also one of the reasons why play and creative arts therapy is so useful for trauma, because trauma in itself is very painful. Dan banyak orang yang mengalami trauma don't really want to talk about it, but they want to deal with what's happening right now or how they're feeling. Or sometimes it's not because they don't want to talk about what they're trauma, but sometimes they can't remember. Karena one of the impact of trauma is fragmented memories. Ya, jadi ketika kita so salah satu impact dari trauma adalah fragmented memories, artinya memory yang nggak lengkap. So there's going to be a lot of blanks in our memory. Terus ketika kita mencoba mengingat kejadian itu, we might not remember things in chronological orders, and often so we get a lot of flashbacks as well. And flashbacks itu often get triggered because of something. Apakah itu dari apa yang kita lihat, apa yang kita dengar, atau apa yang kita rasakan, atau touch or something we smell as well can be quite triggering. And so you get your flashbacks memories. And when you have that flashback memories, the problem with flashback memories is that your body feels as if you're back in that moment. Yeah, so creative play and creative arts therapy allow people to do that, allow people to process their memory or their experience in a much safer way, because you don't have to talk, and you can externalize it on the paper. But actually, when they start using art to express themselves, a lot of stories will show up. Karena when we're doing art or when we're playing, we're allowing our conscious mind to rest, and so that we can go a little bit deeper into our subconscious, into our unconscious process. Trauma healing does not only happen in a therapy room. Therapy is usually once a week, 1 hour a week. You have the rest of the week to live, to do stuff. And so there are things that you're going to need, you might have to do by yourself as well. So the things like journaling, learning some mindfulness practice seperti meditasi atau yoga. So movement is actually quite useful. Nature, going out to the nature, gardening, planting, engaging with nature. Itu juga bisa sangat membantu. Because I think sometimes our friends are, brilliant. They love us. Keluarga kita, they love us. They want the best for us. But sometimes they don't necessarily have the capacity or the resources to support you. So maybe you might need a therapist that can do that part, but also still use your friends, your network support, friendship, family, to provide you with the extra support outside of the therapy session. If it's available in your area, look for support group. In some countries, I know that like in UK and maybe other European country, there are local support group that you can contact and find out bagaimana join. And also, of course, you don't have to stick with one therapy. This is a tip, untuk everybody who wants therapy. You don't have to go with the first therapist you find, okay? And if in therapy you have a choice. Yeah, you have to feel comfortable with that person. You have to feel comfortable with the therapist. So, check it out. Go for one session. look at dia punya policy, contract, batasan, you know, how do you feel? Do you feel comfortable talking to this person? Do you feel comfortable working with this person? If so, kalau memang ya, then carry on. But if it doesn't, it's okay to walk away and try different one. We need to think of this seriously. Dan sebisa mungkin we support people who are looking to heal from that trauma.